always work with local realtors, local lenders. Okay, it makes the transaction go a lot smoother. Um, so getting back to what CoreLogic had to say, they're saying, elevated interest rates and home prices, two causes of the slowdown in the second half of 2022, don't appear to be dropping significantly anytime soon. Now, that's a good thing that home prices are not going down because people are there are more buyers than sellers. So home prices are going to stay solid, elevated for the foreseeable future. Okay, if we started to see a huge drop off in the number of buyers, then we'll start to see a softening in the values of homes. When we're having reduced sales, the quantity of homes that are selling, that's going down. Yes, that's going to impact realtors and some loan officers more than it's going to impact the consumer because their consumers are still going to be able to work and find homes. You've got to be working with a good realtor who will help you find the home, who will get you into the listings. Okay, but the realtors who are not used to working in a what I call a balanced market, they may have a tough time because for the past several years, essentially you just had to show up to work and you would get buyers and sellers and help them, find a home. Now maybe you had to be a little diligent because you had to keep submitting offers for these buyers that were getting outbid for homes. But if you were persistent, you'd get it done. Nowadays, not all buyers are good buyers, and there aren't many sellers out there. There aren't many sellers out there. I mean, there are well below 1,000 single-family homes for sale in the state right now, the entire state of Rhode Island, with fewer than 200 condos, multifamily properties. Okay, so these are the challenges that realtors are going to face. Consumers, if you connect with a good, experienced realtor, and I'm tooting my own horn here, I know, you're not going to have as much of a hard time. If you're working with someone who is, um, they have another full-time job during the day, that might be a little bit tough, or even if it's at night, that might be a little bit tough for them to find homes for you, to get into those homes. You know, homes are taking longer to sell now. They're staying on the market longer, but they are selling. We're not seeing the frequency of homes going for over asking price. Do they occasionally? Yes, they do. But compared to the ratio between homes that sell at or below list price and those that sell above list price, there are very, very few that sell over list price. Okay, very, very few. Because again, even though we have more buyers than sellers, it's not a multiple of buyers compared to what we had a few years ago. Okay, I mean a year ago, June, you'd go to an open house and the line would literally be around the block. Literally. That's not the case. You have an open house now, maybe 4 or 5 people show up. Sometimes open houses happen and no one shows up. Okay? Um, so the market is different, and the elevated interest rates, coupled with the still elevated home prices, are causing homes to, or excuse me, causing the number of sales to decline. It's really a challenge to overstate how much impact the interest rates had on the number of home sales. A year ago, you could get a mortgage, a 30-year fixed rate mortgage at 3%. And now you're in the high fives to low to mid sixes. If it's an investment property, you're going to be even higher than that. By investment property, non-owner occupied property. Okay. Essentially 20 million consumers were wiped out from the buyer pool when interest rates doubled. All right. That's according to the Burns U.S. Housing Analysis and Forecast. So that's reducing the buyer pool by 40%. 60% of those buyers are still there, that group of buyers is still more than we have, more than the number of properties we currently have on the market. So as we enter 2023, where they're now, the market is going to still be a challenge for some buyers. Some may not be able to afford to buy. Some are going to have to get a second job and, bring other folks onto the mortgage. And then we still have to work, we being realtors like myself, are going to have to really entice folks and explain to folks why it makes sense to sell your home now while values are still elevated and there are still more buyers than sellers. Because when you have more of an equilibrium between buyers and sellers, when it's more of a balanced market, it's good in one sense, but if you're selling, now you have a lot of competition, all the other houses that are on the market. Okay? So, we're expecting a continued downward trend for home sales. All right? They're figuring that in 2023, existing home sales will drop to 4.09 million. Okay, a little over 4 million. A year ago, that rate was 6.5 million. Okay? And even though the market, as hot as the market was in 2021, those sales, not as high as last year, they were still much higher than they are now, which they were at 5.35 million in November of 2019. That's pre-pandemic. Interest rates, as I've said in previous week's show, we're expecting interest rates to continue to come down from where they were. Now, as I said, when we're talking about interest rates, and not just on this show, everywhere, when they refer to mortgage interest rates, they're referring to single-family owner-occupied purchases. Okay, a mortgage for a single-family owner-occupied home, and the buyer who qualifies for that rate has very good credit. So if it's not a single family, if it's not owner-occupied, if you don't have good credit, the rate's going to be higher. Okay? Every step away from that single family owner-occupied with good credit, every iteration away, the rates go higher. Okay? And the thing is, too, if you have, the worse your credit is, the lower your credit score is, typically the more you're going to need for a down payment. Okay? The more you're going to need for a down payment. So, interest rates, yes, they're still coming down. They're not coming down a lot. All right? They're saying they should expect to settle in the 6% range by the end of 2023. More optimistic forecasts are saying 5%, which is still well above the 3 to 4% many homeowners were able to get in recent years. And I sold a house a few years ago, and she got a 2.77, which is crazy for a 30-year fixed. All right. Now, Realtor.com, which has nothing to do with the National Association of Realtors, they're predicting that rates are going to go up to 7.4% before trickling down at the end of the year. You're a humble host. I don't have a crystal ball. If I did, I wouldn't be selling homes. But I don't think that that's the case. And again, unless we have some huge calamity, I don't see that happening. I think rates are going, because as inflation is declining slowly, that is bringing down with it long-term interest rates, mortgage rates. Okay? If interest rates starts to go up even higher, okay, it's in the low 7s now. If it goes up to 8 or 9%, yep, rates are going to go up. So, what do you think is going to happen? What are they going to do in Washington, D.C. that's going to, help or hurt the economy? Okay. Economists are still split on where prices will go. Some forecasters see a price swing that's 20% from where it's going to be at the highest point to the lowest point. Others at Redfin, CoreLogic, and Realtor.com expect a gain of 4 to 5.5% over the next 12 months. Some others are right in the middle, and they're predicting a flat year. Okay. And again, all three of those forecasts may be accurate in certain communities because it's going to differ from one area to the other. It may differ from one neighborhood to another. Okay, if you have a neighborhood or a part of town where there are lots of multifamily properties where the rents are going up significantly every year, those home values are going to continue to increase. All right. But if you have another part of town where there are single-family homes and they're smaller single-family homes on a lower socioeconomic demographic, maybe they won't go up as much. Maybe they'll decline. But again, it all depends. I was listening to one economist who was saying that he expects the jobs to be lost going forward are going to be at the high end, the white-collar upper management jobs, and not the blue-collar worker jobs in the middle class. If that's true, that probably bodes well for most of New England. Of course, we have pockets where there are lots of white-collar jobs, but for most of New England, that would bode well. All right. And they're forecasting where some places are going to have they're at greater risk for price declines. Okay, talking nationally. And some of these are areas where, because of the pandemic, a lot of folks, they're called Zoom communities essentially, and people with higher incomes were brought into the marketplace because they didn't have to live in in areas with highly priced homes, so they could come to these other areas. Okay, so those Zoom communities may be a little bit at risk. Okay. I want to go over something else here. For the national home price change, again, we're still referencing CoreLogic data from CoreLogic. We're doing that again right now. So the home price index forecasts home prices will decrease on a month-over-month basis by 0.1% from November to December just passed. And on a year-over-year basis, they're saying it will decrease 2.8% from November of 22 to November of 23. Now that's a forecast. We don't know. That hasn't happened yet. We'll see. Okay. Home price growth. Okay. That means the rate at which home prices are increasing. That number decreased to a 2-year low in November. Year-over-year home price growth in November ended a 21-month streak of double-digit momentum in November, posting an 8.6% gain. So that means home values in November of 22 were 8.6% higher than they were in November of 21. Prior to that November, we were still getting double-digit increases in home values year over year. Okay. 16 states bucked the national trend and saw annual double-digit increases, but appreciation still is decelerating in many popular housing markets across the country. Okay, nationwide, the price deceleration pushed November home values 2.5% below the peak in 2022, which happened in the spring. Okay, so folks, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Joe Luca Real Estate Show right here on WNRI 99.9 FM. We are also on 1380 AM as well as on WNRI.com. You can listen to us live there. After the fact, you can listen to us on Spotify if you look for the Joe Luca Real Estate Show. Okay. I want to thank our sponsors. Of course, we have Vern Rainville, who is a public insurance adjuster. He would work for you, the property owner, not the insurance company. So if you're noticing that you have dampness in your basement with all this rain we're getting, or the gutters aren't working properly and you have roof water coming in from above, give Vern a call because you may have a legitimate claim on your homeowner's insurance. You have to give him a call though, 484 300 8495. That's 484 300 8495. Vern Rainville, public insurance adjuster. He is, I can't say enough good things about him. He helped my friend and my colleague, Dawn Morano, with her home. She had some issues with water in her home. She's helped clients of colleagues of mine. She's helped my clients out. Knock on wood, I haven't had any insurance claims yet, so hopefully I won't. But if I do, I'm definitely calling Vern because I know he will look out for me, for numero uno. Okay, Vern Rainville, public insurance adjuster, 484-300-8495. That's what he does. He helps property owners out. And, our other sponsor, I want to give him a quick shout out too. It's GMET's Moving and Storage. They are your trusted home mover. And trusted is very important because, again, as I said at the top of the show, moving is stressful. And it's nice when you can say, okay, here, hire a mover to move you. They take care of everything. They wrap everything. They pack it up. They unpack it, put everything where you want it to in your new home. That's what GMET's Moving and Storage does. If your new home isn't ready yet, they'll put it in storage. Okay, they can store it up to 2 weeks for short-term storage. All right. GMET's Moving and Storage. Even if you need to move things to get some hardwood floors resanded or to have carpets put in or removed, give them a call, 401-383-6399, and they will help you out. Please mention the Joe Luca Real Estate Show when you do that. Listen to this. Pay attention. They do not make you pay in advance. There are other moving companies that make you pay in advance. They don't do that. All of their workers work for them. They don't hire guys off of Craigslist or some other temporary agency. Their workers, their movers, are GMET's movers. Okay? Other companies try and steal their movers. That's how good they are. GMET's Moving and Storage. Mention the Joe Luca Real Estate Show when you call them. 401-383-6399. Okay? They'll definitely help you out. Getting back to the housing market and what's going on. So nationally, as I said, home prices increased 8.6% in November year over year. No states, 0 states posted a decline in home prices. Not one state out of the 50 had year-over-year declines in prices. So everybody who's been talking about all these talking heads and these stock pickers that are talking about home prices like they know what they're talking about, they should just stick to stocks, stick to bonds, and talk to real estate people, realtors, about home prices. Talk to Dr. Lawrence Yun, the economist for the National Association of Realtors. He'll give you the accurate data about what's going on with home sales and home prices. Okay, the states with the highest increases year over year were Florida, 18%, South Carolina, 13.9%, and Georgia, 13.6%. I've had clients that have moved to Georgia. I've had clients move to Florida. No one moved to South Carolina. Now, I've also had clients move back up to Rhode Island from Georgia and from Tennessee. Okay, so it's not like we're only losing people. Okay, the top 10 metropolitan areas, it changes. Let's see. So if you're looking at the largest cities who had continued to experience price increases in November, Miami was again at the top with a 21.3% increase in home values from November 22 to from November of 21. 21.3%, that's huge. After that, I think we're looking at maybe Houston, which was about 10.6%. Then we had Phoenix, Arizona, 8.1, Las Vegas, 7.7, Washington, D.C., 4.8. Okay. Now, those are the cities, the metropolitan areas, that had the biggest increase in home values. Next thing they look at, and again, this is a little bit of kind of, you know, I don't know how they really do this. It's a little bit of guesswork, in my opinion. But the top markets at risk of home price decline. So this is kind of like, cocktail hour talk, because it doesn't really mean anything. Because if you live in these areas, you can't, really make any big changes. But they're saying the city that has a metropolitan area with the highest risk for a price decline is Bellingham, Washington. Number two is Crestview, Fort Walton Beach, Destin, in Florida. Then Salem, Oregon, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that because I had a discussion with a friend who was from Oregon or Oregon or Oregon, and however I said it, I was pronouncing it wrong. But anyway, that city, Salem, out there in the state, Oregon. That's number three. Number four, Merced, California. I don't even know where that is in California. And then downtown Honolulu, Hawaii. Those five metropolitan areas have a very high risk of a price decline in 2023. Okay. What's it worth? None of those areas are in the Northeast. Okay, only one of them is in Florida, so I'd be interested. I don't know where Destin, Florida is off the top of my head. So, but this is all the data that CoreLogic reviews, and they come to these conclusions. So we don't live in any of those areas. None of them are close to us, and I think that we are pretty safe around here because our economy is pretty stable. And I know we have lots more buyers than sellers in this part of the country, in most areas. And I know personally, and this is anecdotally, but since Christmas, literally, I've been received several phone calls from agents looking to get their buyers into my listings, and my buyers looking to get into houses that are on the market. Okay, and again, bear this in mind, folks. The median price of a home is a little over $400,000, depending on some areas, maybe a little bit under $400,000, the high threes. But figure roughly $400,000. That's a median price. So if you're looking for something above that, maybe you have a little bit more of a shot of getting something because there are fewer buyers at those higher price points. Okay, there are fewer buyers at those price points. So, but the thing that's really important is if you're looking to buy or to sell, the market has started its transition. It's going to continue to transition. And it may be transitioning from 1 month to the next, from 1 quarter to the next. Okay, so don't expect, if you put a house on the market, I have a client, the listing went live the end of November, and he thought it was going to sell and he was going to be out of there by January. Even if we found someone on the first day that it was listed, that may not have been possible because this particular house is probably going to be purchased by someone with a Rhode Island housing mortgage, and those typically take longer. Okay, so you've got to come into things, and I try to have my clients manage their expectations. But one thing, folks, if your home is listed or you're going to be listing it, have an honest conversation with your realtor. If there are concerns, if you have financial concerns, it's like, hey, listen, Joe, I really need to sell this house because I can't afford 2 mortgages. I can't afford a mortgage and rent. I can't afford whatever. Convey that, because that's very different than saying, oh, you know what, we've got plenty of time, take your time, or not saying anything. Okay? My job is to try and when I list a home, is to help you get as much money as possible. Sometimes it's going to take more time on the market in order to get that desired result. If you need to sell it quickly, we'll push it out quickly, but we're going to be much more aggressive with our pricing and with our marketing of the property. Okay. I have marketing people that I work with, so when I say our, we, that's, my team of vendor partners that I work with. Okay. My other vendor partner that I work with, Beacon Title and Escrow, I'll tell you, they are second to none. They handle the closings for our buyers and our sellers. They're very good at educating our clients about the process before and during the closing. So even leading up to the closing, they're providing information, asking questions. They do this a lot, so they know how to anticipate potential problems. And if you can identify a potential problem before it becomes a problem, maybe it won't even be a problem because it can be resolved ahead of time. Those are the problems I like. We address them nice and easy and smooth and early. So that way, no one is inconvenienced. The buyer is not delayed in closing. The seller is not stressed out. We try to work, and we have the experience and we have the knowledge, so we know what to look for. We know how to identify potential bumps in the transaction. Beacon Title and Escrow is great at that. Okay, and that's why we send all of our clients to Beacon Title and Escrow. Anthony Betancourt, my buddy, is the managing partner. My other friend, Rich Nicholson, is the attorney partner. They do a great job. They do a really good job. And then of course I said we have, John Dolbeck. Okay, John Dolbeck and the Dolbeck team at Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Great, book of business, great products that they offer, from reverse mortgages that I'm working on with Heath Lafort, Denora Hernandez, she does great with the Spanish-speaking community. John's awesome with VA loans and USDA loans and Rhode Island housing loans. They have it all figured out. They have great support staff to take care of things. Okay, that's John Dolbeck and the Dolbeck team. 401-321-4401 is the number. 401-321-4401. Give them a call. Mention the Joe Luca Real Estate Show. If you are thinking, because I want to mention this, reverse mortgages got a bad rap. And I was very skeptical about reverse mortgages 10 years ago, 15 years ago, even maybe 6, 7 years ago. And then I started to learn more about them about a year or two ago. And, I think that they are a very viable, realistic, and appropriate product for folks who are retirement age, who are over 62. Okay? Because you can get a reverse mortgage on your home. You don't have to make any more mortgage payments. Okay? When you pass or you go into a nursing home or whatever the situation is, they take the home, they sell the home. If the home sells for more than the contract price, you get the benefit of the profit. If the homes, this is what's important, so listen, if the home sells for less than the contract price, you're in the clear. That wasn't always true. Now it is. So you can either pay off your existing mortgage and no longer have mortgage payments, or you can get cash out. Sometimes you can get both, depending on your situation. Get cash out. You can use that to buy another home. You can use that to age in place, make modifications to your home. So if you're in a wheelchair or a walker, you can't do stairs, or you've got to move the laundry, things like that, you can use those proceeds to take care of that. And folks, what I like about this too is, and definitely give me a ring at 401-409-5030 if you have questions about this. If you're older and you're concerned that, jeepers, your health is starting to fail, and you know that if you go into a nursing home, the government does a 5-year look back. So if you were to put your home into your kid's name now, and then next year you go into a nursing home, the government looks back. And if it's not more than 5 years, that's problematic. Okay? However, if you get a reverse mortgage, it's debt. Okay? I'm going to leave it at that. If you have questions on how that works and what the implications are, give me a ring, 401-409-5030, because a reverse mortgage is a great way. You're not going to be homeless. Your estate isn't going to have any debt or anything like that from a reverse mortgage. Really, really awesome product. And again, that's offered through Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, and Heath Lefort does a fantastic job explaining it, as well as Bonnie Gilbert. I had them on the show a couple of months ago, and we'll get them on again over the winter months to talk a little bit more about it, because we're going to make a big push. So if you own your home free and clear, or you have a small mortgage, or your mortgage is half of the value of the house, this may be a fantastic opportunity for you. Okay, even if you're still working, get one of these reverse mortgages, and now instead of making a mortgage payment every month, you bank that mortgage payment every month and it stays in your savings account. Folks, as the market is transitioning, there are different things that we have to look to as consumers to maintain financial viability, resilience. Okay? One of the things I've been working on as well, I've mentioned this in the past. My friend Sean Smith and I, we have real estate concierge services where we offer to my clients as well as to other individual consumers an opportunity to, we'll set up and take care of helping you with your electric service so that you are locked in at rates that are now below what the rates that the electric company is charging. You get locked in at a lower rate. Okay, one of the things that they're talking about that's going to be increasing, and even the stock people on Wall Street are saying, stock energy companies, that's going to be one of the places to put your money because values are going to go up because they're going to be making a lot more money. Well, if they're making a lot more money, where do they get it from? By charging higher rates. Okay, so you probably should think about ways that you can lock in to a fixed rate on your energy services, if it's gas, if it's electric. Same thing with cell phones, Wi-Fi. We have some really awesome opportunities. So if you are listening in Connecticut, Rhode Island, or Massachusetts, you definitely want to reach out, 401-409-5030, and I'll connect you with Sean, and we'll show you how much money you can, save on every kilowatt hour. Okay? So real estate concierge services, we can help you with, we also have some products for identity theft. A friend of mine had a situation where his credit card was compromised at a gas station. Okay, if he had identity seal, identity protection, he would have been totally in the clear, had no problem. Okay, so it's worth the peace of mind to get an identity protection product for you. This is something else we offer our clients through our real estate concierge services, because again, you hear these commercials on the radio and on TV. Oh, they can come and they can steal your home with taking the title out of your name. I don't know if that's true. I'm pretty sure that around here that is not possible, but nevertheless, there are so many scams out there where people are trying to get your identity, to get your money, to get your credit line. And a lot of times you don't even know it. A friend of mine, she found out about it when one of her credit card companies called her up and said, why did you just buy such and such for $400 in Oshkosh? And she said, well, I didn't. Well, that's how she found out that her credit profile had been compromised. Okay? And then she had to go and she had to close all of her accounts, open all new accounts. Think about what a hassle that is. Get all new credit cards, debit cards, bank accounts, all that stuff. You have to get it new. Everything that charges your debit card every month or your credit card every month, you've got to set up all that billing again. Okay, if you have identity theft protection, you don't have to worry about that. Okay, and our real estate concierge services, we have products to address that for you. We have products to address so you can get better, less expensive Wi-Fi. Who likes spending $150 just for Verizon Fios? Okay. Cellular telephone services. Okay. Mine went from 130 to 60. Unlimited data. Okay. And I have an iPhone. So, so there are a lot of different things that as the economy and the market is transitioning, we need to be really savvy and do what we can to hold on to our own money so it doesn't continue to go out the door, hand over fist. $7. My brother paid $9 for eggs, for a dozen eggs in California. $9. That's not even organic eggs. Okay. And even around here, you're going to spend $5, $6 for a dozen eggs. Milk, unbelievably expensive. Coffee. I went to the store. I bought up. Coffee was on sale. I stocked up on it because they're saying coffee's going to be in short supply this winter. So anything you can do to save yourself some money, do it. A little bit of savings, but if there are certain things you can do so that your credit profile can improve a little bit, so you can qualify for a 1/4 point lower interest rate on your mortgage, do it. To find out what you have to do, you've got to give John Dolbeck and the Dolbeck team a call at 401-321-4401. They'll help you out with that. Okay. If you're going to be moving, hire professionals who have insurance. Don't do it yourself because it's going to cost you more money. If you drop something, damage a floor, damage a wall, break a piece of furniture, injure yourself. Okay, the old thing, penny wise and pound foolish. You don't want to do that. Okay. And of course, this is a real estate show, so I'm going to wrap up the last couple of points that I make, and we're going to talk about real estate. You can still, this is still a really good time to buy real estate because if you don't own your home, you're probably renting your home and you're paying 100% interest. But Joe, interest rates, if I buy something now, it's going to be 7%. Well, maybe it will be. I don't know. You'd need to call Dolbeck at 401-321-4401 at Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation and find out what rate you'd qualify for. Maybe it's 7, maybe it's 5 1/4. Who knows? Okay. But John can help you. Even if it's 8%, that's a heck of a lot lower than 100%. At the end of 2 years, you will own your home, and then you can refinance into a lower rate if lower rates are around. If rates go up, well, then you're still in a good spot. So you really have nothing to lose and everything to gain by putting together a game plan to buy a home today in January of 2023. Even if you can't do it or you're not ready to do it in January, and you'll be ready to do it in June. I was talking with one of my leads today, and he said, "No, Joe, I'm not going to ready to do it right now. I'll be ready to do it this summer." So I said, "Okay, we'll reconnect in June." But I'm going to continue to send him information so he can start to prepare himself and take the steps necessary so that he can get the best mortgage interest rate possible, because that'll save him a lot of money over the 30-year term of the mortgage. Okay? So folks, you've been listening to the Joe Luca Real Estate Show right here on WNRI 99.9 FM. We are here every Tuesday evening. You can also catch us on 1380 AM and WNRI.com. After the fact, check us out on Spotify, the Joe Luca Real Estate Show. If you want to see videos, I've got a YouTube channel. It's called Joe Luca Real Estate. Check it out. Yeah, there's plenty of information there if you just want to start learning about the process of buying a home. Okay? And I want to tell you that our next show coming up is Rick Mernier with the Old Time Preaching Ministry. Okay, comes in right after the Joe Luca Real Estate Show, and he gives some great Bible wisdom for the next 60 minutes after this show ends. Okay. I want to thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week. We may have a special guest for you, so stay tuned, literally and figuratively. Okay, so I'll see you then, guys. Bye-bye. Have a great week. Hey, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Bye-bye.